Liam Lawson has had yet another disastrous qualifying session, finishing P20 on pure pace, out-qualified by every driver on the grid. Seeing both Racing Bulls drivers reach Q3 and Verstappen fighting for pole is not going to console the Kiwi driver, especially as he delivered a damning verdict on his future with Red Bull. But with Marko now finally paying attention to Tsunoda's leap in performance, could we see a switch sooner than expected? And more importantly, has Red Bull made the wrong call with Lawson? There's no question about which driver is under the most pressure after the first two races of the 2025 season. Liam Lawson. The Kiwi finished P20 in both qualifying sessions in China for both the sprint event and the main race. The more humiliating fact is that in Saturday's session, it was purely down to his own pace. Although he blamed Gasly for an overtake before the last corner, it's far from a solid argument. Just an excuse for why he couldn't do what was expected of him, reaching Q3. Combining this with his previous qualifying session in Melbourne, where he finished P8, Lawson's average qualifying position after 3 sessions in a Red Bull stands at 19.3. This is undoubtedly the worst start he could have imagined for his career, and helmet Marko has already piled on the pressure. To make matters worse, Lawson seems to be losing confidence. He admitted that he doesn't have much time to adapt to the car, elaborating on this after his poor Saturday stint. It's just really tough, honestly. I think the window's really small. I mean, that's known, but honestly, that's not an excuse. I've got to get a handle on it. It was a messy session, and had we not dealt with traffic and stuff like that, it might have been okay. But to be honest, it's still not good enough. We shouldn't be having those issues, and that's why we got knocked out. We should be fast enough on our first lap. We should be. It shouldn't be an issue. So I just need to get on top of it. There's no doubt that Lawson doesn't have much time. Not only has he failed to out-qualify Tsunoda since the 2023 Singapore GP, but he has yet to score any points with a far more dominant team compared to Racing Bulls. In all honesty, Lawson didn't have many races to prove himself against Tsunoda, as he was benched at the end of the 2023 season and only brought back for the last 6 races of 2024. Still, his performance in China was definitely concerning, and he needs to improve sooner rather than later. Tsunoda, on the other hand, secured 3 crucial points in the sprint event and qualified P9 for the main race. Yes, Yuki was out-qualified by his teammate Hülkenberg, who made a statement after his embarrassing crash on the formation lap in Melbourne. However, both Racing Bulls drivers are at least fighting for points, while Verstappen is left to salvage Red Bull's weekend alone. This is why a decision could come sooner rather than later, and Lawson knows this better than anyone. When speaking about the situation, he didn't shy away from acknowledging the challenge ahead and the risk of being replaced much sooner than expected. I think I just need time. Unfortunately, I don't really have time, but it's just one of those things. I mean, driving a Formula One car takes 100% confidence in what you're doing. It's not that I don't feel confident, but the window is so small right now, and I just seem to be missing it. That's what I need to get a handle on. I don't know how else to put it. It's just not good enough. Now, with his driver failing to show the expected potential in the first 2 races, concerns are growing. While Lawson still has the main race in China to prove himself, the possibility of a replacement, such as Tsunoda, remains a valid argument that Red Bull will have to address. This time, however, Marko hasn't had much negative to say about Yuki. Quite the opposite, in fact. The veteran Austrian praised the Racing Bulls driver, acknowledging the significant progress he has made compared to last season. Elaborating further, Marko stated, "Yuki changed his management and has been performing absolutely top-notch so far. He is in the form of his life and has made another quantum leap this year." Most of the time, statements like these from Marko don't mean much, as we've often seen him say one thing only for nothing to materialize. However, openly praising a Racing Bulls driver after previously criticizing his mistakes last season is certainly something Lawson will want to keep an eye on, especially given his current struggles. After a poor qualifying performance in both Melbourne and China, Lawson may still have a chance to score points from his low starting position, but that's not why Red Bull brought him in. Liam was expected to be within 0.3 of a second of Max and support him as much as possible to optimize the team's position in the Constructors' Championship. Right now, Red Bull can't even use Lawson for strategic support in case Verstappen finds himself battling rivals in the Drivers' Championship.